Greetings everyone, it's Kaz here and I'd like to welcome you all to my review for the Nintendo Switch. So I've had the Nintendo Switch now for over a week. I've probably had it for around 9 days, I'm pretty sure at this point. And I have been enjoying the hell out of it. Now obviously it is very hard to review hardware as a whole, and honestly I don't understand why review outlets feel the need to put scores on hardware. I feel like that's such a weird thing to do and it doesn't really make a lot of sense. So many new features get added to hardware and consoles as time goes on, so I feel like it's not very wise a move to put a score on hardware as a whole. So that's just pretty much why I'm choosing for my review of the Nintendo Switch to give essentially my final thoughts of the console and the hardware side of it as it stands right now at this point in time. Now, as I'm sure many of you or all of you are aware, I don't understand how you could escape this if you are anywhere into the video game side of news, but there have been a lot of Nintendo Switch issues around launch with the hardware. There's been reports of dead pixels, things like Joy-Con connectivity issues, things like the dock of the Switch actually scratching the screen itself. So that's why, before we even jump into anything in terms of my in-depth thoughts, I just wanted to preface this by saying I have not experienced a single issue in any way, shape or form like these. The hardware, I've had a near flawless experience with the hardware, not a single problem, so do keep that in mind for today's review. So what have I been doing on my Nintendo Switch since last week? Well, I've been playing a lot of what everyone's playing on the Switch, and that's Zelda Breath of the Wild. I don't understand how anyone could own a Switch and not have this game. It's amazing, but that's a topic for another day. I've been playing a lot of Zelda on the console. It's all I've been playing. In terms of how I've been dividing up my time spent on the console, I've probably spent, just because I haven't done that much traveling at all this week, I've probably spent more time this week using the Nintendo Switch docked on the TV, playing it like I typically would my PS4. And that's just because I haven't been traveling many places this week. However, to contradict the fact I've been playing it on TV most of this week, I actually do think the Switch for me appeals to as more of a handheld console. Just the ability to take these huge AAA Nintendo games on the go is really what made me buy a Switch and pre-order one. And even though I have been playing it for the most part on the TV, I have to say, right off the bat, the Switch lives up in terms of, in my mind, in terms of my expectations for the console. It lives up to everything I was hoping it to be, everything the marketing says it is, in terms of how snappy, how responsive, and how quick it is and easy it is to change the Switch from obviously being docked in your TV in the dock, and then in handheld form. It's instant, it comes out, pull it out of the dock, and then that's it. You're away playing handheld gaming on the go. There's not a menu, there's no delay. It's absolutely perfect in that transition. Nintendo products over the years have been compared to a toy in terms of especially how the Wii U gamepad felt. That thing was, and I know it's said a lot on the internet, but it's true, that thing was a Fisher-Price toy through and through. The Nintendo Switch is a sleek piece of hardware. This is a piece of tech that I feel proud to own, and to be honest, despite the fact I've had it for a week now, and the kind of, I guess, excitement of just having one in my house has worn off to an extent, I still just love holding this thing. It's really just absolutely just a slick, thin, smooth, matte finished piece of hardware. It's just absolutely gorgeous compared to what we've seen in the past. The 720p screen is really good. It's for me, because the only other pieces of dedicated handheld consoles I've ever had in the past is my DS and my 3DS. Upgrade here from that to the Switch is so noticeable. I'm also relatively confident the PlayStation Vita has a 720p screen, so perhaps if you're a Vita user and you're getting a Switch, you might not be as blown away by this upgrade in screen quality as perhaps I am, but this screen on the dedicated handheld side of the Switch has really blown me away. It's quality, 720p, super crisp, playing Zelda on the go with that quality. It's really just something that I really don't take for granted at this point. Lots of people were also having problems with the kickstand in terms of it breaking off and stuff like that, even though it is designed to be broken off. But lots of people weren't a big fan of it because it is flimsy, and I won't deny that it is definitely flimsy. But I don't really have a problem with it. Like, it's stable, it does its job, and I honestly wasn't really expecting it to be much more sturdy than this, so I'm totally fine with the kickstand as it is. Again, it's just expectations. I wasn't expecting it to be any more than it does, and it works totally fine. I really love the Joy-Con. I think they're really cool little controllers. I'm not a huge fan of using them horizontally. It kind of depends. I feel like, for example, I played demo for Snipperclips with another person with me, and we were playing, you know, with the two horizontal Joy-Con. I really thought that was fine, because Snipperclips is designed for the Joy-Con in that respect. But I also tried grabbing a horizontal Joy-Con and essentially started pretending I was playing Mario Kart on it when Mario Kart 8 Deluxe comes out, and I don't know about that. I wasn't a huge fan of that. Maybe if you're like, you know, you've got a friend over and you just want to, you know, slide off a Joy-Con, play a quick round, sure, maybe it'd suffice then. But I don't know how it would hold up if you really want to get into a Mario Kart multiplayer session. I wouldn't be a big fan of using the Joy-Con horizontally. But with the Joy-Con on the side of the actual handheld portion of the Switch, it's really comfortable. I did get to start getting a little bit finger cramps after multiple hours of game time playing like that, and that's probably me just getting used to it. I don't know exactly what the issue was there. I'm assuming I'm just going to have to get used to it, but that took multiple hours to get to that point, so I'm not really concerned about that. It feels sturdy. The Joy-Con, when they are slid onto the console, it's not flimsy at all. They are on tight, and I've got nothing but good to say about it like that. When they slide off, the Joy-Con slide off exactly like they slide off in the commercials as well. I know I sound like a bit of a Nintendo commercial right now, but they slide off super quickly, super easy to slide them off. It really just lives up to all that marketing. Now for me, leading up to release for the Switch, I was really thinking about how do I want to control my Switch when I'm playing with it when it's docked in the TV, and I didn't really know, because I didn't know whether or not I was going to like the Joy-Con slid into the grip that comes with the console in the box. I didn't know if I was going to like that or not. I'm definitely still going to get a Pro Controller, but if you perhaps don't have the money to get a Pro Controller, or you really kind of would like to avoid getting a Pro Controller if you could, for me, the Joy-Con grip is 100% totally a viable controller option. It looks kind of weird, and I was worried about it being uncomfortable and kind of bizarre. Haven't had a single problem with the Joy-Con grip, and if I had no way to get a Pro Controller whatsoever, I would be totally satisfied with the Joy-Con grip. I really like that means of play. Again, the Joy-Con slide in super responsively, and it's a really comfortable way to play Zelda in my opinion. Now, of course, another way you can play the Switch is with Joy-Con, one on your right hand, one on your left hand, like you'd kind of play with the Wiimote and Nunchuck and kind of just hanging with your arms to the side. Not a big fan of that. I haven't tried playing like that extensively, but I'm really not that big of a fan of playing like that. For me, it's just not really comfortable, especially when there's a grip sitting right there. I can play traditionally with traditional controller. In terms of the Switch's OS and its UI, I've got nothing but praise to say about it. I really love it a lot. The home menu is super snappy. You're out of the game you're playing when you press the home button in a split second. It's super snappy. I usually hate taking screenshots, and the share button on the PS4 doesn't appeal to me in any way, shape or form, but I love screenshotting my Zelda gameplay with the Nintendo Switch because of how quick and snappy the screenshot functionality is. It doesn't take you off to a side menu or a side screen or take you out of your gameplay experience. It immediately just takes a shot then and there, like you would take a screenshot on your iPhone or iPad, for example. You're easily able to get to where you want to go with very few hurdles to jump over at all in that respect. The UI is absolutely fantastic. A huge pro for the Switch, especially compared to the Wii U, which had awful UI in my opinion. Now, I've been pretty much now for this whole video just praising the Nintendo Switch, because in my mind, everything I've covered, there's nothing but praise to say about it, but there is the major con with the Switch, and I've mentioned a few times that the only game I have is Zelda, and that's because that's a major con. And granted, if I could only have one game, I would choose Zelda, so in that respect I'm very lucky that I've got a huge open world to explore, but it's the only game I have, and it's the only game I'm interested in getting until April 28th when Mario Kart 8 Deluxe comes out. So really, funnily enough, this is a hardware impressions of the Switch, but for me it's actually the software that's the main problem with the console as a whole right now. And I'm worried once I beat Zelda, which granted I'm not close yet, But once I get there, I'm worried that I will have nothing to play at that point. And I just honestly wish there was more for me, more enticing content for me from day one, as opposed to having to wait maybe for E3 for more content and more software and more games to be announced that I'm genuinely interested in. But I am very happy with the Switch. For me, I've pretty much got no faults with the hardware side of things. It's an absolute huge improvement over any piece of hardware console that Nintendo has done in recent history. And it's really just the software that Nintendo has to prove themselves with for me to be fully 100% won over with the Switch. I'm probably 80-90% there because of how convincing and how promising the hardware is, but they need to win me over on the last stretch with software, third-party support, and more games that interest me personally. But they were my final thoughts on the Nintendo Switch. What do you guys think of the Nintendo Switch if you managed to get one? Make sure you let me know in the comment section below. But that's enough from me. Thank you all very much for watching today's review. I'll see you all next time. Farewell.